Assalamualaikum everyone, you are watching Software Buddy. I hope that you all will be fine. So today let's learn what are the vectors in R programming, their data types and the vector slicing. So what is a vector? A vector is the sequence of data elements or values. You can also consider the vectors as a one-dimensional array. And you must have studied about the one-dimensional array in the programming language. The one-dimensional arrays are present in many programming languages. For example, this is a one-dimensional array. Okay, now if we talk about vectors in mathematical terms, you must have studied about the matrices and vectors in your high school. And you have studied them, then you must remember that a matrix looks like something like this. For example, this is a matrix of order 3 cross 3, which means it has 3 rows and 3 columns. Now you must also remember that if you extract one column from this matrix, for example, let's say this first column, if you extract one column from a matrix, we call it a vector. So we can also write it as this, and this is a vector. So we talked about the scalars in the previous video and we have learned that scalar is one single value, right? But vectors are sequence of values, not a single value but sequence of values. We also learned three basic data types and they were numeric, character and logical. So we learned how to make scalars of these three data types. Now we are also going to make the vectors of these three data types. Let's see how we will do that. Let's see examples of vectors of all three basic data types in RStudio. Let's create a vector of numeric data type. Let's say we call it as n. And now if you want to create a vector, you have to use the keyword C. This is the keyword. You write C and then round brackets and then the values of your sequence goes inside these brackets. So let's say I wanna create the numeric vector with these 5 values 8, 9, 5 and also add some floating point values 2.2 and 6.6 and press enter. So I have created a vector of numeric data type. Now let's also create a vector of character data type. Let's say we call it as ch. So ch equals to again the keyword c for vector and add character type values in it. So this is a vector of character data type. So let's create a vector of logical data type here. Let's name it as m equals again the keyword c and the logical values in it. Press enter and you can see it is a logical vector. We can also display them. Write n, press enter. So you can see the vector values here. So if you have to display all the vectors at a time, what you can do is use the semicolon. So write the name of all the vectors and separate it by the semicolon. For example, n semicolon ch semicolon m and I'll press enter and here it is. So all of them will be displayed here. So let's perform some operations on the vectors. So here is a fact that we can use our logical vector to extract values from any vector. So how to do that? For that, if we write for example n square brackets and the name of the logical vector which is m inside of it. So what will happen is that for all those values against which the logical vector m has true values will be displayed here. By this I mean that for this vector and it has 5 values and the logical vector has also 5 values. So considering the second value of n against the second value of m, So if true is written, then the value of n will be displayed. Again, the 4 and 5th values are also true, so 2.2 and 6.6 will also be displayed. But as the first value of m is false, it won't display the 8 against it. Let's run this command, and so you can see 9, 2.2 and 6.6 here. So that's how it works. We can also do it for this character type vector. Let's do it. So name of the character vector, which is ch, then round brackets and the logical vector m inside of it. Press enter and you can see 9, 2 and 6 here. So you can use your logical vector to extract values from the other vectors. Now we can also give a name to each and every component of any vector. For example, let's say I have this vector n. So I want to give each and every value of this vector a name. So how can I do that? I can do that by writing the keyword names and round brackets and write the name of the vector whom we want to give the names. So this vector is n, so write n here, and then I can assign another vector to it whose values will be the name of the values of the vector n. This is a little bit of confusing, so let me show you what I mean by this. Let's run this command. So ch is the vector and the values of it will be assigned to the vector n as the names. Press enter and now let's display n. Now you can see the first value is named as 8, fourth value named as 2 and so on. So that's how you can name your vectors values. And if we have named our vector, we can also extract the values of the vector using those names. For example, let's say I want to extract this value 2.2. So I will write n square brackets and the name here, which is 2, and then press enter. So this value can be extracted using the name. If you want to extract 6.6, write n square brackets and 6 inside of it and press enter. You can see 6.6 here. So if you have named values of your vector, then the values can be extracted using those names. So if you have named values of your vector, then the values can be extracted using those names. Now let's learn about the vector slicing. And by vector slicing, we mean to fetch some particular values from a vector. So if you have a range of values in a vector, we can choose our custom range. For example, I can extract 3 values from vector instead of all the values. Let's say I have a vector, let's call it as my slice, and I am going to assign it vector with this one. So it has 9 values. Press enter and you can see your vector in the environment section. Now let's slice it. Let's say I wanna display some values from this vector. So first of all, write the name of my vector, which is my slice, and then square brackets. And I will define the range here. Let's say from 1 to 6. Now you can see that only first 6 values have been displayed here. So now you can see from the range 1 to 6, we mean that first element till the 6th element. So the 6th element will also be included. If you are familiar with the Python and other programming languages, you must also note that there is also a range function in Python too, in which the last element in the range will not be included. So in R and this particular function, when we are slicing the vector, the 6th value will also be included. So you can see it is less than equal to if we are defining the range. So now you have learned how to use the range and do the vector slicing. We can also create a vector using this. For example, let's say z is equal to keyword c, round brackets, and the range which is from 10 to 20 inside of it. Now let's display it. So you can see it has created a vector from range 10 to 20.